quarterback or ball boy. So, but I mean, if he wasn't playing kicker, what do you think he could do? You say he's a great athlete.
I think he could be a wideout just because when we warm up sometimes, Mitch will happen to slip into our pat and go drill. And he'll be out there catching balls when Coach Wilson's not looking. So that's pretty funny. I think that he can be a wideout.
They probably asked all the same questions I was going to with that, but
Probably.
thanks. Anyway, what's that do for him in terms of, Coach Wilson talked about him being a leader and that sort of thing, and being one of the best he's ever seen sort of as a specialist. When he goes out and does stuff like that, gets in a pat and go drill, or just tries to talk to other players in the locker room, just what does that do for him in terms of just being one of the guys? Because the coach said kickers can kind of get segregated and kind of end up in their own.
I think that the
deal.
stereotypical kicker probably hangs out with the specialist. You never see him on the weekends. You don't see him very much at practice. And in the workouts, he's probably not one of the top performers. But with Mitch, that's all not true. I see him every single weekend. It's easy to trust a guy and to accept him as a leader when he's beating guys when we're doing change of direction drills. He's up in the front when we're running 100. So when you got an athlete like that and a guy who's actually performing, and he will actually verbalize what he's saying, and he's not segregated off with just the specialist, and actually shows his face. And like I said, I think the biggest thing about him is that he performs just as well, if not better than a lot of guys on the team when it comes to the physical aspect of the workouts. And those are the guys that are really our leaders, the guys you can trust because they're putting it out in the field.
Was there a time when he sort of started doing that? I mean, I'd imagine it's kind of a leap if you're a kicker to even get involved, to start, come and hang out with the other guys, start getting involved in drills, start doing stuff like that. Do you remember when he just started doing that?
I mean, sophomore year we were all kind of young still, so I don't think that he was really voicing his opinion that much. But as soon as junior year rolled around, I mean, he was just as a leader as Ted Bolzer or me or anybody else on this team. So I think he was more comfortable with speaking out and going, okay, I know I'm a kicker, but I can be a leader on this team.
Has he kind of brought the other kickers, the other specialists around? Like, has that started to make everybody else kind of feel more comfortable? Are they less segregated than they used to be?
Really, what we've changed on this team is that, when I was a freshman and I came in, I didn't socialize with the seniors or juniors, really. It was more like the freshmen hang out with the freshmen, sophomore. But now, I mean, I think what we want to change is, if you're a great player, you're not a great freshman, you're just a great player. So you don't need to limit yourself to just being a freshman or hanging out with freshmen. And I think, I play, I don't know if you guys know Nick Campos, he's another punter on the team. I play video games with him every single night and stuff like that. So, it's not like, the specialists or some segregated group off from the team, like that stereotypical team. Because, we all hang out, Eric Toth, all those guys, you're liable to see anybody anywhere because we all just socialize with each other, defense, offense, specialists, whatever.
As a kicker, just itself, how have you seen him get better? I mean, I know that's not something you necessarily focus on and watch a lot, but you see enough of it, I'm sure that you can see it.
I don't pay attention to it really at all, just because I always see it go in, and so I'm not really worried about it. So that's about it.
Is it going in more, I guess? I mean, he's made big kicks his whole entire career.
Very much, so, especially at practice, he's banking them all in, so.
Okay. How do you think you've kind of matured, basically? I mean, what's, I'm sure you're being looked at as the captain now, especially, not only his position, but probably the entire offense, basically. How do you think you've matured in that role? I mean, it seemed like you were pretty set for it to begin with, but how are you better for it now?
I think Coach Wilson just made me realize, because that, like I said, that mindset when I was a freshman was just completely different than now. Because I was really just a football player when I was at the stadium. I didn't really think about it off the field. And that's really one of Coach Wilson's biggest standards is that, it doesn't matter where you're at, you're always representing IU football. And that's something that I wasn't really remembering a lot. And that's why it got me in trouble, because I thought that I could go home and just be a normal guy. And I'm not a normal guy. I play for IU. So I think Coach Wilson has just helped me mature a lot and get my priorities right, and just to really think that whatever I do, I'm representing IU even though nobody's looking. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that's helped me mature and get more serious about things.
You and Coach Wilson have always struck me as very sort of different guys, these guys that just operate differently. How has that relationship evolved? I mean, did it take you a while to kind of get used to him and say, just to kind of get used to the kind of guy he was, and how does that relationship evolve? How have you guys kind of come to at least,
Because I've always been the guy on the team that when everyone's thinking something and no one wants to say it, I say it. And I like to, really, I like being that guy. Take pride in, saying, what I feel and stuff like that. And at the same time, Coach Wilson's that same guy. He's going to tell you how it is. However he's thinking it in his head is what's going to come out of his mouth. So I had a hard time with it because for a long time I thought he didn't like me. And I had to get past that because, I'll never forget, I think it was like one of the first practices my sophomore year. He's like,